Hi everybody, my name is Bob, as you already know, and I'm coming to you from my room, my space of quarantine, and I would like to talk to you today, or the purpose of my video would be to destigmatize COVID-19. You know, um, a lot of people that have tested positive for COVID-19 find it difficult to talk about it, um, and usually that is because of the association of fright and when people hear that somebody tested positive for COVID-19 and they're like, oh, that person tested positive, you better keep your distance, and that stigma of having been tested positive for COVID-19 is what is actually contributing to people not wanting to get tested, people not um, wanting to be able to talk about their difficulties handling COVID-19 and if they need help, and in addition to that, you also have the conspiracy theories about whether it's globalies versus whatever, and the need to sell vaccines, and people don't want to get tested because they don't want to be on the list, on the data, um, having been registered as someone who tested positive for COVID-19 before. And I have to admit that I was one of those people too that felt like, no, don't get tested because you're gonna be registered on the data list and you would be like, oh, you've tested positive for COVID-19 and there is a data that is tracking you or whatever, and things like that. But as a community and as a society, we need to be responsible about our actions and decisions if we seriously want to survive and come through and combat this pandemic, you know. And so I'm gonna start with sharing my personal experience with COVID-19. Um, Usually, they would be looking for the signs and symptoms like fever, coughing, and things like that. Some people have chronic symptoms, other people don't. And that also goes alongside with your strength, the strength of your immune system. If you have a stronger immune system, you may fight the symptoms better than someone who has a weaker immune system. That might even lead to their death, you know. And so that is something we need to be very, very careful about. Whether we are actively spreading COVID-19, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And so, personally, I lead a very busy life, keeping a full-time job, working 10 to 12-hour shifts and working sometimes for up to 6 days a week when I pick up shifts for overtime and all of that, you know. And I also go to the gym maybe sometimes 3 to 4 times a week and try to work out for at least up to 2 hours. And I also try to, be in the community and be friends with people and all of that, so I'm kind of busy sometimes, and in the middle of doing or leading this busy life, sometimes I don't get up to 8 hours sleep, sometimes I do get 4, sometimes I do get 3, sometimes I do get 5, and then sometimes I don't drink enough water too. And so typically when you have such a busy life and you're not taking good care of your body is bound to push back too. And so you would experience things like headache, and dry eyes, and body weakness, and all of that could also come because you're not taking good care of your body. So personally, when I started experiencing those, I didn't think it was COVID related, and I experienced it for a few days, 2 days, 3 days, and usually you're told, in order to know if you're displaying COVID related symptoms, you have to look for things that are unusual in your daily life. And so in my case, when when I started having these experiences, I thought, okay, I just finished working 6 days in a row and I took a day off, and then I'm about to work again for another 5 days in a row, and these are like 10, 12 hours long shifts. And so I thought, well, maybe I've not been eating right, I've not been hydrating right, and I have not been, you know, um, getting enough bed rest. So I started trying to get enough bed rest, and I also started trying to drink enough water, and I started trying to eat enough meals in a day too, and take food with me to work. And I started feeling better. The migraines or headaches started leaving or going, and the body weaknesses. I started feeling a lot better, and then I was drinking some energy drinks, and I was fine, you know. And so, at one point in time, on the third day, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get tested for COVID. It's free, and why shouldn't I get tested? Just go get tested. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be negative. And I took the test, and boom, my results came back positive. Ta-da! Hey. So I had to exit work by means of physical distancing, and I went and met my H&R, and we talked about it, and they had to do tracing to make sure that they're able to figure out all the people I've come in close contact with while at work, so they can alert them of their exposure to COVID-19 and also follow the protocols to have them quarantined for 2 weeks, and I was also very forthcoming about the people that I'd been in close contact with, disclose that information because it's the right thing to do for our community. Personally, I wouldn't be able to tell how I got COVID, because I'm thinking at work I've been following all the protocols where we have to put on gloves when we're working, and you have to wear your mask every time except during break times when you're actively eating or drinking, and you have to keep 6 feet apart from other people, and so I've been doing those things, and it wouldn't make sense to me exactly how I got it. When I went to the gym, I would use the disinfectant spray and spray the equipment that I'm about to work on and exercise, and then when I'm done working on it, I would clean it down and then before leaving to the next equipment. So I just can't tell how I got COVID. But here I am. I'm COVID positive. Some people do experience chronic symptoms. In my case, I didn't, and it was hard to tell. Can you imagine if there are many other people out there that have COVID-19 and are unable to tell if they are experiencing the symptoms or not, and yet they are going around increasing the community spread because they don't know that they are COVID positive, they are actively infecting other people. That's why I started by saying we need to come together as a community and be responsible for our actions and decisions. I'm encouraging all of us to take seriously social distancing guidelines. 6 feet apart when visiting if you have to. And remember to wear your mask no matter how uncomfortable it could be. It is for the safety and wellness of everybody. You could inadvertently kill somebody by exposing them to COVID-19, and maybe they themselves didn't even know that they have such a weak immune system. But upon contracting COVID-19, their immune system couldn't handle it, and today they are no longer on Earth. I have lost loved ones to COVID-19. Personally, I believe I am experiencing COVID-19 for the second time. The first time, I didn't get tested, but I was exposed. And I suffered the symptoms for 2 weeks. I was down, took days off from school and from work. I was really sick. I didn't even get to talk about it because of the stigma. But today, I'm making a difference. I'm being responsible. I am calling on everyone to go and get tested. COVID test is free. It is free. Absolutely free in the United States of America. At first, we used to fault the government for not making available enough test kits. But today, there is enough test kits. Or at least it's better than we have more test kits and more test centers than we used to a few months back. So if you have the opportunity to get tested, why not get tested? Get tested for the safety and wellness of your community in which you live in. If we're gonna combat COVID-19 and beat this pandemic, we need to be responsible for our actions and decisions. Individually, we can't beat it, but collectively, we will. I know people that are suffering from post-COVID-19 complications. Permanent migraines, digestive difficulties, And these are all things that they never had before COVID. And as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, and as far as they know, they were leading a very healthy life up until they contracted COVID. And when they did, they survived it. But they came out handicapped. We need to reduce the community spread. And that can only happen if we all begin to get tested. Can you imagine if that little cough that you had 2 weeks ago or a week ago, that little dizziness, that little fatigue that you experienced, that little migraine, that little headache that you experienced, were all signs and symptoms of COVID? And you didn't get tested. But you've actively been visiting your grandma, your grandpa, your aunties, your uncles, your best friends, and you've been giving it to them. And then they get it too and they're unable to speak out about it. And then the other people that they would have given it to them, they're unable to call them and tell them, hey, I tested positive for COVID because of the stigma. We're never gonna come out ahead. We need to come together as a community and destigmatize COVID-19 if we're gonna beat COVID-19 and come out of this pandemic. It's gonna be a joint effort. Be responsible about how you handle your everyday life and how you handle your health. As far as this pandemic is concerned, I've had to put myself in quarantine. I've been in contact with the Department of Health and I've updated them with tracing, and I have personally reached out to all the people that I may have come in close contact with them. But once I took the test for COVID-19, I made a conscious decision to stay away from my family, my loved ones, friends, everybody. I stayed away from them all because I thought to myself, if what I experienced 2 days ago could have been COVID related, I don't want to share it even more for the next 3 to 4 days before my results came back. And I'm glad I did that. And even when I started experiencing the symptoms, I made a conscious decision to stay away from as many people as possible while trying to figure out if the fatigue and the little headache that I had was coming from my lack of rest and busy schedule and not hydrating enough, or is it COVID related? We need to act right as a community, and we need to stop shaming people or making people feel some kind of a way because they tested positive for COVID-19. So I'm encouraging all of us to get tested. Get tested, get tested. Do not assume. Do not, because your assumption might cost the life of someone else. Might cause a permanent damage to somebody else who has a weaker immune system than you do. Be responsible about how you lead your life during this pandemic. Okay? Thank you all for watching. Be safe out there. Continue to practice your social distancing guidelines and get tested. Get tested. Get tested. That's the only way we're going to be able to know who's positive, who needs to be in quarantine, and then we'll be able to reduce the spread of COVID-19. I love you all. Continue to remain safe. Thank you.